You know, you're a guardian of the galaxy apparently, but you can't even take care of the life of a lamb. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back. Today we are responding to Chris Pratt.
We woke up to a barrage of messages saying, guys, you've got to respond to this. Chris Pratt has posted this and that on Instagram. Please make a video. So here it is.
Here it is. First up, Chris Pratt is from Jurassic World.
And Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, we are massive Guardians of the Galaxy fans.
Loved
so
it.
this was very disappointing to see this on Chris's Instagram. We were just shattered. It reminds us very much of the Leonardo DiCaprio post recently that we made a video about. You know, big fans of Leo's movies and Leo in the movies, just like we are of Chris Pratt in the movies. But in real life, these guys...
What are you doing, guys? What are you doing?
What they're doing is they're promoting a very, very dangerous, destructive, terrible message to their millions of followers. And speaking of millions, Chris Pratt's got 14.4 million followers on Instagram. So
that's a lot of followers. Now, people were asking us to have a look at his recent post, and as we went to do that, his previous post got our attention too. And we're like, oh my God, they're both as bad as each other. So we're going to respond to both of them.
Yeah, as it turns out, he's got a bit of a series going on, hasn't he? Where it's What's My Snack? It's on a Monday series that he's running.
Yeah,
so.
His snack is a whole lot of death.
And exactly.
So let's take a look at the previous Instagram post.
But I ate it all. It was spinach and lamb. I did this new blood type diet, and since I have a strain of alien blood that they've never seen before, it's kind of a free-for-all with what I get to eat.
All right.
Chris, you're not an alien. This is not the movies. I know, like, you're used to playing a character with aliens.
Yeah.
This is real life, buddy. You're a human being, part of the human species, living on planet Earth.
You're not on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy, okay?
Reality check.
Exactly. The blood type diet being debunked. There is no scientific evidence to support the blood type diet. The guy who wrote it sold 7 million copies of the book, and he's been labelled a quack by actual scientists, okay? The scientific literature does not support the blood type diet claim, and therefore it is invalid, it is unscientific.
Yeah, especially to use that as an excuse for eating animals.
Exactly. Also, when Chris says it's kind of a free-for-all in terms of what I get to eat based on this, alien blood type that he's got, the inference is that therefore, what he is eating wouldn't otherwise ordinarily be considered healthy for him. For example, lamb, full of saturated fat and cholesterol that clogs the arteries and causes our leading cause of death, heart disease.
Your blood type is not going to protect you against that.
Exactly.
And since I've been farming lamb for the past 6 months in fishing, I'm eating lamb.
Okay, so what Chris is doing is he's raising lamb, as he described. He's basically enslaving living beings for the sole purpose of chopping their heads off and eating their bodies.
That's right. Like, we farm fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, but we enslave other beings.
And he is eating babies. He is literally eating babies. These faces here. Nice. He's also a serial killer of sea life, which he's very proud of. He's very passionate about. He promotes this on his social media as a good thing. And worst of all is he's teaching his son, his child, Jack, also how to fish. So what this man is doing is he's passing on a tradition of violence to the next generation. This little boy is going to grow up to be a man who thinks it's okay to hurt other animals.
And yet, if the child were to hurt other animals of his own accord without being shown how to do so by his father, that would be a sign of potential psychopathic or psychological issues. And the child would have to probably see somebody for professional help, because some serial killers have a history in their childhood of mutilating animals.
So basically...
Like Jeffrey Dahmer, for example.
So this image here of the child holding a fish by its mouth, imagine if it wasn't a fish, imagine if it was a kitten or a puppy. Would Chris still feel okay about this behavior? Would he post it on his Instagram? And would we all think, oh wow, how cute, how lovely, father and son bonding time?
No.
We definitely wouldn't.
Absolutely not. And this is speciesism. And this is what Chris is indoctrinating his son into, just as Chris was by his father and his father by his father. And we all have been, whereby humans think that we're superior to all non-human animals, and that therefore we're justified in using them in any way that we want to. And that we favour certain species of non-human animals over others. For example, dogs and cats over fish and lamb, for example.
Yeah.
That's right. Fresh, farm to table lamb.
No, it's not farm to table. You're missing the key. The key
middle
step
step,
there.
the middle step.
It's farm to slaughterhouse to table. Why don't you take your Instagram followers through the slaughterhouse, Chris? Show them that step. Otherwise, you're just lying. You're creating this unicorn fluffy world. Oh, wow, all of a sudden
It magically appeared on my plate.
Wow, that's incredible.
They are the happiest lambs on the planet. They're so sweet.
Yes, they are sweet and they are happy until you chop their head off.
And then one day they wake up dead and they're in my freezer. I don't know how it even works, but it's amazing.
You know exactly how it works, Chris. You're choosing to either,
He's being a smartass.
Yeah, he's being a smartass. That's what he's doing.
And
Everyone knows how it happens.
They don't turn up dead. They are murdered and put in your freezer by someone else. This is the behaviour of a coward. You're hiding behind someone else doing the dirty work for you. Oh, I don't know how it happens. The dead bodies are just in my fridge. Oh, well, I'm just going to eat them now. And it's not amazing. I mean, you're talking about the slaughter of babies here. So to label that as amazing, we have to
It's amazingly psychopathic.
And
look, we've all been guilty of it. We're not singling Chris out.
No.
We are in the sense that he's promoting this to millions of followers. So he has a massive platform.
Yeah.
So that needs, a rebuttal.
Yes.
But we've all been guilty of this speciesism and this carnism.
Yes. What Chris has done is open the conversation. So this is a great thing in a way because it allows channels like us to make a response.
That's right.
And so other people are going to receive this information. So Chris has just basically opened the floodgates to talking about the idea of humane meat.
And if you think we're impassioned, we are, and
Yes.
particularly so because last night we attended a chicken vigil where we witnessed chickens in the final moments before entering a slaughterhouse. And when you connect with those beings, the way Chris has connected with these lambs, you don't want to eat them. But seemingly Chris does. And it's probably because he's not taking the knife and slitting the throats of these babies, hanging them up by their ankles, letting their blood drip out, skinning them, gutting them, and chopping their body parts.
That's the middle step, Chris. That's what you're missing.
Yeah.
Okay? And
There's
just
nothing fresh about it either. It's freshly decomposing because any flesh begins to decompose immediately. So there's nothing fresh about it.
No. Just going back to the chicken vigil that we attended last night. When you see that, when you bear witness to animals who are about to be slaughtered, the reality of what we're talking about smacks you in the face, and your tolerance for bullshit is completely smashed. So when we hear and see things like this from celebrities with over 14 million people following them and looking up to them.
And talking like a bit of a smartass about the taking of someone else's life, as if, he used an infinity stone from Guardians of the Galaxy to make the lamb magically appear on his plate.
You're just like, you know what, enough of this. It's got to stop, and it stops with education. So this is what we're talking about today, and this is what we're sharing with our audience.
And if you're a vegetarian, I apologize. I don't mean to be insensitive, but I did have a wonderful lamb lunch for my snack.
Yeah, you are being insensitive.
Yeah, you looked down when you said that, Chris.
You don't care.
You are being insensitive.
Yeah.
I mean, your intention is to be insensitive.
What you're trying to do is
I
say,
don't buy that.
no, you're trying to say, oh look, the vegos, don't leave my platform. It's okay, I still accept you, but I'm going to do my thing. But everyone's included here. Just cut the crap. Cut the crap.
And speaking of cutting the crap, what's vegetarianism anyway? I mean, it's 2018. Veganism is the message that is being spread. Vegetarianism is 1970s. Let's get with the times. You're a guardian of the galaxy apparently, but you can't even take care of the life of a lamb.
That's right. And we say that because there is just as much, if not more, cruelty and violence in the egg and dairy industries, and all of those animals end up being slaughtered for their meat. So if you're consuming dairy in any form or eggs, you are still contributing to the mass slaughter of innocent beings, most of which are still babies.
And we did that too as vegetarians because we didn't know any better. As soon as we learned about the brutality of the dairy and egg industries being actually worse than the meat industries because the suffering is prolonged and they end up in the meat industry anyway, we went vegan.
Yes. Information linked below. All right, so that was our response to Chris's previous Instagram post. Now, his most recent post,
which is the one that everyone sent us and asked us to respond to.
Let's have a look. He starts off by saying, look at all this glorious food.
It's not food, it's violence. And it's not glorious. Why are we glorifying violence? We should be glorifying Respect and life, exactly.
This is death.
Compassion.
This is dismembered body parts of an innocent being.
We will eat off him for a month.
That doesn't make it okay. It doesn't matter if it's 1 meal or 20 meals over a month. Taking someone's innocent life...
Buy a 20-gram bag of beans and you'll eat off that for a month.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? Like,
taking someone's innocent life who does not want to die is not justifiable whether you have 1 meal or 20 meals.
exactly.
His wool is becoming yarn as we speak. So we're
Okay.
talking about the use of the animal. If I use the whole animal, that somehow makes it okay.
So if we kill a dog and we skin it and we turn that dog's fur into a
bag
coat trimming
or a
or what have
coat.
you, does that justify killing the dog? Of course
Yeah,
not. It's
we
the
can-
act of killing that's wrong. He lived a very good life. He was groomed and shorn, his hooves medicated, dewormed, no antibiotics necessary.
So if we treat our victims with kindness, that somehow justifies us slitting their throat, chopping their heads off and eating their bodies.
Yeah. So I guess in the Yulin Dog Festival in China, where a lot of the dogs are actually taken from loving homes
Yes.
where the families have cared for the dogs and the dogs are stolen. But I guess it justifies their killing because they had a happy life, yeah? It's nonsensical.
Yeah. Now what we have to do here is we have to replace the victim. So Chris is talking about lamb. Let's replace lamb with dog, with cat, with human, with any other species besides lamb, besides those food animals, you know, the ones that we've been taught in the West are okay to eat.
Cows, pigs, chicken, fish, duck, turkey, those ones.
Okay, would what Chris is saying justify the slaughter of any other being if we treat this child okay and love him or her and raise him in a good home? Is it okay if a serial killer comes and kills a child and eats their body?
Jeffrey Dahmer, the famous serial killer, in many cases had consensual sex with his homosexual victims before killing them, chopping them up and eating them. So
He was nice to his victims.
did
He
that
was
justify
kind.
his actions because he treated them nice beforehand?
As a woman, if I meet a guy and he takes me out and he's really sweet and we go to dinner and he buys me flowers and he's really kind to me, he's a good guy.
And you are given chocolates and you slow dance,
Beautiful, everything's going swell.
takes you back to his place, slips
Slip
you
me a date rape pill, I'm unconscious, he rapes me, he slits my throat open. Is that okay because I didn't feel anything and because he was so nice and sweet to me and took care of me before the act of the violence? No, it's the act of rape and murder that's wrong. It doesn't matter what context it happens in and how the victim is treated beforehand.
or what species the victim is.
Exactly.
Surrounded by laughing, loving humans, including children to whom they provided such joy, nuzzled, pet and loved every day.
That makes it even more psychopathic. This does not make it okay, it makes it worse. That animal has trusted you, has grown up with your family, with your children, and then you do
It's the ultimate betrayal.
ultimate betrayal. The worst thing you can do by someone that trusts you with their life.
And you're also
you take it.
That's right. And you're also teaching your children that you can love animals while simultaneously having their throats slit. Loving and killing are mutually exclusive when the individual being killed doesn't want to die. No stressful travel to his final destination.
So if I murder someone in their home, that makes it okay? If they're comfortable, they don't have to go anywhere. I'll just shoot them in the head right in their living room. Does that sound normal? If I knock on your door and slit your dog's throat, happened in the backyard, dog didn't have to travel to a slaughterhouse. Was it nasty stuff like we saw last night with those factory farm chickens? No, it was backyard stuff. All cozy with the kids.
Trauma-free.
All we have to do is put ourselves in the victim's shoes. If it's good enough to happen to us, then okay, it's humane and it can be done. But no person wants to go through what we do to animals.
And again, we've been conditioned to not put ourselves
Yes.
in the shoes of the victim through speciesism and carnism, which are belief systems that we've been indoctrinated into and that we need to start challenging as a species in order to actually evolve.
Perhaps the most distressing line in Chris's Instagram post.
Just a touch of a USDA certified wand to his head and he goes to sleep. Just like an infinity stone's powering the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, it's magic.
I'm revolted. I'm revolted. Is this man sick or I just don't understand.
the animal is not being euthanized. The animal didn't want to die. So don't make out like it's some kind of ethical euthanasia, Chris, because that's what you're making out here, the way you're writing it.
And it also doesn't matter how the animal is killed or stunned. It's the act of stunning and killing the animal against their will.
And the fact that the electric stunning wand is USDA certified means nothing when the mandate of the USDA is to sell and promote animal agriculture products. The other sheep don't even notice.
Well, first of all, I don't believe what you're saying because you're not very sensitive to animals now, are you, Chris? Animals are very sensitive, very intelligent, and they form strong bonds with each other.
Yeah,
they have families.
That's right.
And they mourn.
Exactly. You know, we've seen videos of donkeys mourning the loss of one of their own, dolphins having like funeral processions for one of their own.
But let's take what Chris is saying and apply it to humans. Let's pretend there's a homeless man that lives under the bridge and one day he's murdered. And no one even notices that this homeless man has been murdered. No one's noticed that he's gone.
Well, I guess that justifies his killing. It's like unplugging a TV. Wow. So now we're drawing an analogy between a inanimate thing, an object, and an actual living, breathing, sentient being with a family, friends, emotions, feelings.
The disrespect for life and for the individual is absolutely astounding.
And it's conditioned out of us as children, just like Chris is teaching his child to fish, to rip these innocent beings out of their homes, away from their families, subject them to pain by putting a hook through their mouths. You know,
and suffocating them and
the
then
child is
chopping them up
becoming
and eating them.
desensitized and therefore grows up to compare animals to TVs.
I wish I could shut Chris up by unplugging his Instagram like a television.
Then Walker, my butcher, works his magic.
It's now magic to cut up someone's dead body.
Again, we're not on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris. This is real life, and we're talking about the killing of another living being who didn't want to die and didn't have to die because we can eat something else.
Sorry. Let's look at the words that are being used here. The word butcher. To butcher somebody. Like, just think about it. Butchering, we're dismembering, we're killing, we're tearing something apart.
But we're not. We're paying someone like Walker to do it because we're too cowardly to do it ourselves. Because we know if we had to do it ourselves, we wouldn't do it. And why wouldn't we do it? If there's nothing wrong with it, why wouldn't we do it?
Why don't we show this on our Instagram stories once again, Chris? Show your audience the middle step. Take them to the slaughterhouse. Take them into the butcher's room. Show them the graphic, disturbing, disgusting process of taking the life out of an innocent animal.
And chopping it up and, you know, exposing its blood and guts and everything.
There's nothing magical and amazing and special about that. It's just death.
But inherently we know it's wrong.
Because we have to dress it up with all these bullshit words, isn't it?
And that's why we pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Right now, the meat is for friends, family, and gifts.
It's funny, isn't it? We give our loved ones, we give gifts of a dead body. Here, I love you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Here's the hand of the neighbour. Or here's the dog's head from next door. Put that in your freezer. It goes swell in a soup.
In fact, I noticed the lamb's head was missing from Chris's post. You know, does that make it a little too real? Does it? But if we, don't show the head, somehow we remain further disconnected from that being. And it's a gift for your family and friends, is it? To give them foods that promote heart disease, some forms of cancer, type 2 diabetes, and other leading causes of death. They're not gifts; they're death wishes. Soon, though, it may be available to my followers as we test recipes and open up to market. Got to get some things dialed in first.
You know what you got to get dialed in? A conscience. A bloody heart.
Yeah.
And not the bloody heart of another animal either. Your own. Open it up.
Yeah. Again, it sounds like Leonardo DiCaprio here. Very business-oriented, very money-making oriented. How much money do you need, Chris? You're a multi-millionaire. You're a superstar. Why do you have to kill other beings who want to live to make more money?
And promoting, as you said, these animal products are full of cholesterol and saturated fat that
clog our arteries and
linked to
kill
our
us.
leading causes of death. Why would you want to kill your followers? And let's not forget the planet that we all live on. These farms, these backyard, organic, free-range family-run farms use mass amounts of land. They are really bad for the environment, actually. We recommend everybody watch the film Cowspiracy to learn more about this. This is not a responsible thing to do. The only responsible thing to farm is plants. And that's how we need to feed people.
Exactly. And these, small local family farms that everybody is glorifying, they're not sustainable and cannot feed 7.5 billion people, let alone 9 billion people by 2050 and 11 billion people by the turn of the century.
People can't even afford it.
That's right. That's why we have factory farms, which everyone's against.
Yes. So if all of animal agriculture turned to these family-run farms, you know what? We would actually have a much more plant-based world anyway by default, because no one could afford to pay for this. All right? But rice, beans, potatoes, cheap calories that feed people. I found a new passion to add to my many others. Great. Your passion is slaughtering babies and selling it to your followers.
Just think about that.
Wow. It's my passion to kill people and animals and destroy the environment. Get a new passion, Chris. Stick to making films with #farm life, and Jack loves it. Jack is his son. Jack loves being raised on a farm where he gets to connect with other beautiful sentient beings, and their dad comes along and rips those babies away from their families and chops their head off. Jack loves that. Jack doesn't love that. Jack loves the farm. Jack loves being with the live animals when they're playing together. Jack doesn't like the babies having their heads chopped off. Take Jack to the slaughterhouse, Chris. Take your son to the slaughterhouse. Let's see how much he loves that.
That's right.
Make a hashtag for that. Post about that.
There's a reason we take our kids to pick apples and strawberries, but not to slaughterhouses. Because inherently we know it's wrong. And when we instill speciesism and carnism into our children, is it any wonder that we grow up in a world full of racism, sexism, heterosexism, ableism, classism, all of those forms of discrimination? Because speciesism is the root of all evil. That is what needs to be eradicated, and yet that's what we teach our children at the youngest age.
You're spot on. And how many times do we hear people, I'm sure you guys have too, how do we end up with the world that we have? How do we do this to each other? Why can't we just be peaceful? Peace begins on our plates.
And
if we can do what we do to these innocent babies, look at this face. If we can do what we do to the most innocent beings on this planet, then no wonder we do what we do to each other. No wonder we have war. No wonder we murder each other and rape each other and cause so much pain. Look what we're doing to the most innocent.
Pythagoras said it thousands of years ago, as long as men continue to massacre animals, they will continue to massacre each other. For he who sows the seeds of murder and pain cannot reap joy and love.
You'll know where to sprinkle my ashes, I'll tell you that. On the grounds where you chose to enslave innocent beings and tear babies away from their families and send them off to a slaughterhouse and then butcher their body, that's where you want to be sprinkled? I'd prefer the ocean, but hey, take a breath. If you are still eating animals, if you think what Chris is promoting is okay and the better option, please understand that nothing humane happens in a slaughterhouse. Once again, it's a house of slaughter. You cannot take someone's life who doesn't want to die humanely.
Humane and slaughter are mutually exclusive and oxymoronic. They cannot exist together.
It doesn't matter how it's done. It doesn't matter what the treatment is. It doesn't matter where the animal comes from.
It doesn't matter the quality of the life that they had before they were killed.
It's the act of killing in and of itself that is wrong.
And the fact that we have to actually make a video saying that killing is wrong says a lot about the society in which we live. And we can change it, guys, because, if you're new to our channel, we were raised eating meat, dairy and eggs just like everybody else. I remember rubbishing a vegetarian, the first vegetarian we ever met. We ganged up on her with some other meat eaters and we ridiculed and rubbished her.
We loved lamb. Lamb was, Sunday roast. We ate it all the time. We never made that connection.
It's one of the national foods of Australia, for example.
That's right.
But once you know better, you have a duty to do better.
Yes.
And the information is out there. We're sharing it in this video. It's everywhere. And to ignore it Well, we just don't have time for willful ignorance
No.
in 2018. Guys, as we said before, if we're impassioned, hey, we're talking about the lives of other beings. And if it was your life being taken by somebody like Chris, you would want people to speak impassionately on your behalf.
Yes. Please help us share this message, share this video widely on your social media, share it with Chris. Let's tag him on Instagram especially, and just get the message out that this is not okay.
Leave your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you as usual, guys. Give the video a like, share it around as Natasha said. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
Make sure you turn on notifications as well so you're notified every time we upload a new video.
And remember until next time that going vegan is not the most we can do.
It's the least we can do. See you next video.
Bye, guys.